Hi, I'm Angela. I'm an adoptive parent with Family Futures, and we're doing this series of videos called Helping Families Heal. And we've got Stephen here today, who is a dance therapist, I think.
Yeah,
And he's going to help us look at regulation, which is a really important part of adoptive parenting. So, Stephen, do you want to just explain who you are, tell us how you are, and what you do at Family Futures?
absolutely. So hi everyone, I'm Stephen. So yes, my official title, I'm a dance and movement psychotherapist. In a previous life, I was also an OT. So there's kind of a couple of things in my belt. Yes, and because I'm a dance and movement psychotherapist, I'm always very interested in the connection between sort of mind and body, essentially, and how sort of physicality helps us, and we communicate with it, and it's all very linked together. So that's why I'm interested in kind of the regulation side of things as well as other things.
Excellent. Well, it's
And
really,
I
I
guess
didn't know you were an OT.
oh yeah, that's it. And I've been at Family Futures a couple of years now. So yeah, it's good.
Great. And do you want to just tell us a bit about regulation, deregulation, dysregulation, why it's important to think about that?
Absolutely. So a lot of you out there will know a lot about regulation and dysregulation. And it happens to the best of us, right? It happens to all of us. Is that when we're regulated, we're nice and calm. Our systems are sort of functioning correctly. We can think. We can kind of have conversations. We can do things. We can be productive. All that kind of stuff. When we're dysregulated, it's that window of tolerance stuff. So if you're out of that, your system is dysregulated. So it's that at the top end, that's going to be kind of anger or just kind of losing it. And then at the bottom end, it might be kind of real tiredness, getting floppy, a bit spaced out, all that kind of stuff. So that's and it's really it's your system, and we're going to go into it more, but it's very connected to fight and flight and fight,
Yeah.
flight and freeze, which we're
And I
going to.
think in these times of lockdown and coronavirus, there's a sort of underlying level of all of that, isn't there?
Absolutely,
So
yeah.
um,
Our windows of tolerance are kind of
shrinking,
shrinking. Yeah.
sometimes minute. Yes, I know that one. Um, so, Stephen, you did a parent support group, and I was part of that. And within that, you did some work with us on this very thing for us as parents. And I just thought it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And there's some little phrases have stayed with me and helped me. And so I thought that it would be really good to share that with some other folk. So, do you want to just use me as a guinea pig and take me through that again, and we'll see if that helps.
Absolutely, because one of the things we talked about in the group was, and I know the OTs at Family Futures talk about this all the time, but it is the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah.
So the sympathetic nervous system is the one that ramps us up, so that gets us going. So if you're thinking fight, flight, freeze, that's the one when a saber-toothed tiger arrives. The sympathetic nervous system kicks into gear and makes you act. So it makes you run away, it makes you get ready to fight. Of course, the freeze one is the one that perhaps is less and makes less sense, but I'll come to that in a moment. And then the parasympathetic nervous system is the one that brings us back down. So that's the regulation system.
Okay.
That's the system that brings us back down from wherever we've been, and kind of brings us back to that middle ground. And there's again, the OTs will talk about this a lot, but there's the vagal nerve. So that's this wonderful nerve that's, we're only really just getting to grips with it, really. But it's called the vagal nerve. It's got the same name as the word vagrant. So a vagrant is sort of somebody who wanders, and I guess it's probably the same as vague as well. That kind of wander, because most nerves go from your brain down your spine and out to your body. The vagal nerve comes out of your brain and it sort of wanders around the body, and it connects into all sorts of things. Now, the vagal nerve is the one that is very connected to the parasympathetic nervous system. So it's the one that brings it down.
Okay.
So it's this really important nerve that's all over the place. And interestingly, it connects to your lungs. It connects to your stomach and your gut. It even connects to your vocal cords. So it really kind of goes all over the shop.
Yeah.
And that's why all those sort of, well, I don't know whether you find them annoying, you know, all those people who just insist that breathing is the answer to life. There's something in that. There's something in that meditation that actually is, they're kind of right. Because this vagal nerve is connected to your lungs, so your breathing is actually part of that regulation system. So all those people who go,
I'm aware of my breathing now.
oh yeah.
Yes.
I mean, you go to any sort of meditation class, any yoga, anything, and then all of those are to help us regulate, essentially. And they will always talk about your breath, and it's really that sort of stuff always interests me, because it's this thing that's been in kind of cultures for longer than we can remember, you know, all through history. And it's this thing that people worked out a long time ago, and yeah, so it always interests me. And I think we talk with our kids a lot, don't we, about this fight, flight, freeze, this regulation. So it's that stress system that we have in all of us that's really important, that helps us, and it's often really it's really pronounced with our kids, with the adopted kids, and it's pronounced because their stress systems are often sort of unbalanced, or they've been really impacted by their history. What was I was going to come back to the freeze thing, because that was the other thing that we talked about in the group, wasn't it? That the fight one makes sense, the flight one makes sense, but the freeze maybe not so much. And that's the kind of rabbit in the headlights, you know, when you
just can't think.
You just can't think, and you just stop, and you're like, oh. That is absolutely our brain doing the right thing. Again, it's a really helpful thing. It's when often when animals are about to kind of, well, like a rabbit in the headlight, it's about to get hit by a car or about to get caught by a predator, their brain essentially just switches off. So that's that. We talk a lot about dissociation at Family Future, and that's the brain really is dissociating, because a gazelle being caught by a cheetah, the gazelle doesn't want to feel being ripped apart by a cheetah. Which makes it so. It's the brain's really clever way of just, it switches off, and you kind of you just, you know,
this is going to overwhelm me, so I'll just cut out.
Just cut out. Yeah, absolutely. Which is why, I mean, you know, we do it all the time, don't you know, when, I don't know, you just come round after a fight or something, and you think, I can't remember, and I can't, you know, the kids do it a lot. They can't remember what they said. They can't remember what they did. And that's often true, because our brains are switched off. So that's a form of dysregulation as well. Is that switching off. So yeah, in the group we did lots of conversations around, right, what can we do? What can we do to regulate? Because and you were really talking about this earlier, the thing that's easy to forget is that we do all this work with our children's nervous systems. We talk about their nervous systems all the time till the cows come out. You know, we're absolute professionals and experts on the kids' nervous systems, but it's easy to forget that we have these nervous systems as well, and they're reacting in similar ways. And you know, often when the kids dysregulate, we can find ourselves dysregulating, and it can be really hard to stay regulated in that moment. You know, because everyone's scared. You know, our systems don't know the difference between a raging child and a raging saber-toothed tiger. You know, it's still.
Remember, Stephen, that you asked us how we were doing, and then how we were feeling as parents, you know, and what the sorts of things that we do or feel like we'd like to do. And I remember I sometimes want to run away, or, you know, leave the situation, or I get very hot. I tend to probably go more to an anger type of thing myself. And so I was, you know, you got me to think about that, and to think about that I get very hot, I get very agitated, I can't really think straight, and I want to just leave the room, or leave the house even sometimes. And then you said, and then lots of other people said other things. They wanted to break something. Sometimes I want to punch something, you know, this sort of thing, like really just let it out physically. And you said, well, this is how your children are feeling. And it was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course, it's the same thing. It's the same. I'm just the same. And so even sometimes when my child is not particularly dysregulated, I'm just having a bad day, or, you know, the pandemic is getting to me particularly that day, you know, I'm conscious that I'm doing those things as well. And sometimes I just want to leave or do something, but obviously can't leave. So it really hit me like a I don't know, like a train. That it's the same kind of thing. And I think that's really helped me in these situations to, I guess, sort of empathize with my child, and also to be kind to myself, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think the temptation is often to think, and I think a lot of people do, particularly when they're outside of this sort of world, but the temptation is to look at these kids and kind of think, oh, they're, you know, their brain's doing something wrong, or
they're something else.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas in fact, with all of their responses, their brain is doing exactly the right thing.
Yeah.
Their brain is working spot on, you know. It's just the difference is that their brain thinks the saber-toothed tiger is there all the time.
Yeah.
So their system is going constantly, so it's working, you know, perfectly.
Yeah.
Just like our systems, you know.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, the thing that's off balance is the kind of the awareness of the threat, or the sensation of being in danger. So you're absolutely right. We're all just these systems getting through life, and you know, when you've got two or more systems in a room together,
yes,
we're linked, aren't we? And systems are designed to bounce off each other, and that's why, of course, you know, our kids rely on us so much to co-regulate with them, because if we can regulate our systems, it's easier for them to regulate theirs. And so some of the little, we had lots of conversations around the difference. So there's big ones, aren't there? There's big things that you can do to help relax, essentially. So having a nice long bath, going for a really nice walk, being in nature is really good. What else?
Well, at the moment,
well, I mean,
yes,
it's all reduced right down.
You know, yes, I know. Yeah, those things like doing a hobby that you love, or something like that, or taking some time out to watch something you enjoy watching. But sometimes there's not time for those things, is it? You've got to regulate right there and then in that moment to get through the next like 10 minutes or 15 minutes or something.
Exactly. So we're going to come back to we're coming back to that vagal nerve.
Yeah.
So there's all these things that you have, and it's if you think of it like a muscle, you've got to kind of practice and exercise the vagal nerve and kind of strengthen it, because if that's got a good vagal tone, is what it's called, like a muscle tone, then it can come into play much easier, and it will strengthen it in a way, and it will help you bring that down. So there's these bigger ones, absolutely, that are really vital. So as parents, you need to make sure you get these moments where you can have a long bath, you can go for a walk, you can do your hobbies, things like that. You know, you've got to try and find the time for them, and it's really hard, and particularly at the moment when we can't do anything at all.
I know, and nobody can come and look after your kids.
No, exactly. So, you know, it might be putting some headphones on and blocking the world out for half an hour. I don't know, having a glass of wine. But like you say, so those are really important, because those are the things that sort of keep us ticking over. And then there's the things in the moment, which can really help. When you've got a dysregulated child in front of you, or a dysregulated partner, or a dysregulated self, and you can't go and like run a bath and put some salts in it and like light some candles, you know, that's ridiculous. So there's those in the moment ones. So we went through a whole so if you get yourself comfortable, Angela, we're going to try a few. So what should we do for a really good one, which you can do? I mean, you can do at the bus stop, and it doesn't look weird. You know, is you just get your fists and you just clench your fists as tight as they can, and you just clench them, and you might count to 5 or 6 or something, just a few seconds. Oh, and then you let them go.
Oh,
And you just,
so nice.
yeah. And what that's doing is you're when we're stressed, that fight flight reaction comes in. So our brain goes, oh, there's a threat. And it's sending messages to our muscles to get ready to go. So that's why you feel tense, you might be restless, all that kind of thing. Doing this, you clench some of those muscles and you squeeze it. Yeah. And that tells your brain, yeah, I've done what you needed me to do.
Okay. Okay.
And then you let it go.
Yes.
And that letting go is that bringing back down the other side. The other good one to do is clench your jaw. That's even less obvious. So you just,
I do that unconsciously. I have
sometimes. So do I. I have lots. Yeah, I hold lots of tension in my jaw. So, but if you just clench it, clench your jaw as much as possible. I mean, you can do that without anyone seeing.
I'm noticing.
And you clench it, and then you let it go again, and you just.
That's good.
And again, that's your brain getting the message, like, oh great, yeah, the body's done what I needed it to do.
Yeah,
and then you relax it. So I'd say with sort of clenching your fists or clenching your jaw, if you can do it 3 times in a row, clench, release, clench, release, clench, release, that really helps. You can do it you can clench your toes. You could even do it with your shoulders, so you bring your shoulders up, and then let it go.
Yeah. Each time you do it, they go down a bit further, don't they?
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a good sign, that's and it's something about knowing your own body as well. So knowing where you hold tension, we all feel it differently. So I feel it in my jaw and kind of down the back of my neck. And I often have to, the other one is a similar thing. If you put your hands together and just press together. So you and kind of get your fingertips pressing together. The whole thing, you thumb, and then let it go.
It's amazing though, just something little like that just really helps to relax. I mean, I wasn't particularly tense before, but
absolutely. And I mean, I can feel that I can feel my body's kind of gone up about 2 degrees. I can feel, just that bit of work. You can feel how hard. Something we do with the kids a lot is you play a game, you get them to, I'm going to do it on my Zoom screen, but you tell them to hold the wall up.
Each other's hands.
And you just get them to press against the wall as if they're trying to hold the wall. Does a really similar thing. One of the ones that
we use that a lot with my daughter. She uses that a lot in school and things as well.
Really?
To begin with, she was like, I'm not doing that, but she's realized it really helps her, and now she's like, I think I'll press the wall.
So good. And that's what a lovely example of, we give these exercises to the kids, and we can take them on ourselves. We can we can do
definitely.
They work for the other good one. Now this one, we talked about this in the group. This one comes back to the freeze mechanism, that gazelle being caught by a cheetah. And what they've discovered is, by watching what happens if the gazelle is caught by the cheetah, cheetahs don't often immediately kill their prey. They take them off, put them in a bush, and come back for them later. And what they've discovered is they've got footage now of gazelles or antelope waking up from being attacked by a cheetah. And of course, as humans, our kind of frontal cortex just basically confuses everything. All our emotions, it just makes you don't see a gazelle going off and kind of getting really anxious about the fact that it was caught by a cheetah and stuff, But what a gazelle does is it stands up and it shakes. And there's mounting research to show that there's something about the shaking that brings us back down. Because I think when we go through that system of getting stressed and the fight, flight, freeze kicking in, and all those hormones suddenly pump through our body.
Yeah.
The physical act of shaking sort of moves it all through and sort of gets it out.
Yeah, yeah.
So a gazelle, you watch a gazelle, I mean, we're not that different from gazelles, I'm afraid. You watch it literally shakes its whole body and then it's fine. And it just bounds off and carries on eating grass until the next time. So, so I really love it. Just shake your arms as if you're trying to shake your fingers off, as if you're trying to flick them off. And then just stop.
Do you know what? I've used that one.
Have you?
In the kitchen, yes. I'm trying to cook supper.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that one really, really helps.
And it's the sort of thing, when you do it, it suddenly, I don't know about what your experience was. I feel like it kind of just makes sense.
Yeah.
When you kind of go, oh,
yeah. Ooh, get away. I think I told you that I noticed after you'd been talking about that my dog shakes at every transition. So she'll shake before I take her out for a walk. She'll shake, after we've left the house, and then when we come back in again, she has another shake. And I was like, transitions.
Yeah, transitions are stressful, right?
Yeah. Even if they're nice things like going out for a walk, it's still a transition, and
it's like
it's really helpful. And that's something that you can do just for a few seconds in the middle of a situation, and it just will bring you down enough just to manage that.
And it I was just imagining in the middle of a big family argument, it might kind of surprise everyone enough that everyone stops.
Go one of two ways, couldn't it?
So those are just a few little things that you can do to bring. I mean, like I said, the other really, really helpful one is the breathing. And we, with the kids, we bang on about breathing, and everyone seems to be banging on about breathing these days. But it really, there's a lot of research with it, and I think it's something like if you do 6 breaths in a minute, so inhale and exhale, just over the course of a minute, so that's 10 seconds. That brings your breath to a pace that stimulates that vagal nerve. So that brings it, and interestingly, in a lot of meditations, a lot of prayers, all that, the prayers and meditation and chanting and things like that, they often follow that pattern of slowing the breath right down. So that's another one you can do if you can remember in the moment.
Yeah.
Even just a couple of deep breaths, because when we're stressed, it goes because our body is needing lots and lots and lots of oxygen to get ready to fight that saber-toothed tiger. So if we can slow it down, again, it's not tricking the body, but if you can slow it down, then your brain goes, great, I've done the breathing that I need, I've got all the oxygen, and it really is, if you can bring that body down, then the brain has to follow. The brain, it's impossible for the brain to carry on if you bring the system down.
Yeah.
Right. So, and just taking a moment, and I mean, I'm always fascinated at Family Futures. A lot of the kids that I see find it really hard to literally just stop and take a deep breath. And I think it's so interesting. I think their bodies are so not used to it.
Yeah.
I think that these little bodies are kind of I ask them to take a deep breath, and they look at me like I'm crazy. and so I might try I might try doing games where they're using breathing, like if anyone's ever done a MIMS assessment with teenagers, there's a lovely one where you blow cotton wool balls through a straw. That's a great regulation for kids. So that the breathing, I would say, is a really good one, because again, you can do that without looking
too weird
in a particular way. And again, I think it's a natural thing. I think it feels when you've had a really sort of terrible day, and you get to the end of the day and go, oh,
Yeah, we do it naturally, but it's remembering to do it in those moments where the things have got very stressful. But and in these days of homeschooling and everybody being in and only being able to go out briefly each day, it's these techniques might sort of save the day.
Absolutely.
And we can remember to do them.
And sort of plan them in, you know, make
that's a good idea.
You know, things like, again, think about what we fidget. I've got this little fidget toy that I have. It's great. I have it on my desk and I, you know, spin it around and flip it around in my hat. Keeps me, you know. So I think it's a real encouragement from you, really, is to think about, right, what is it we tell our kids to do?
Yes.
And which ones can I do?
Yeah.
And you'll probably find that they're really helpful. So.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Stephen.
You're very welcome.
And I hope that really helps someone out there just to get through the day. That's really what this is all about. So thanks very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.